Today I'll be taking a look at KitchenAid's new SCAA Certified home coffee maker. This is the Pour Over Coffee Brewer. Can't remember the exact model number, but if you search for it online, this is what would come up. So again, it's the newest of the SCAA certified coffee makers at the time of this recording, and I'm just going to do a quick unboxing and show you what's inside, and then I'll test out the brews, talk about the pros and cons, and I'll also have videos with side-by-side comparisons with other SCAA brewers. Particularly I'm going to do it alongside the Brazen Plus for starters, because that's the one I'm currently using. So here we go. Alright, let's start off with the pros and cons of the KitchenAid Pour Over Brewer. Starting with the pros, it's an SCAA certified coffee maker, one of I think only 5 current home brewers that are SCAA certified. Keep in mind that this certification is only for auto drip coffee makers, so we know that the grounds are going to be evenly saturated, and through my testing I have found that to be true. The water that flows out, which I'll show you later on, is actually pretty evenly distributed. It's not perfect, but it does wet all the ground coffee. As far as temperature goes, I've also tested that, and it appears to be sufficient in the range of 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. And there are a few other things too that make up the SCAA certification, but those are the main things as far as I'm concerned. So that's the first pro. Second pro, I would say, is that it has a programmability feature. So you can set a brew time to have it brew whenever you're ready. So if you want it to make coffee at 6 a.m., you can do that with this. It also has a brew pause feature, or pause and serve. So the mechanism on the filter basket will stop the flow of the coffee if you remove the carafe right underneath. So that's definitely another plus and a feature that people will really care about. I think the appearance is also a great thing. It does look great, and it's available in 3 colors, and I think only the Technivorm of those coffee makers that are SCAA certified can even claim to have more than 1 color. Brazen Plus is just available in black, and the Bonavita BB1900 is just silver or stainless steel. Another pro is this cord. It's longer than other SCAA certified coffee makers, at least for the Brazen Plus and Bonavita BB1900. They both have short cords for safety reasons. On the back side here, you also have this area to wrap your cord if you don't need that extra extension. So that's pretty cool. So that's the pros. I think I covered everything I wanted to. Some things that are kind of neutral, neither pros nor cons, is the filter basket itself. So it's a conical filter basket. The Brazen Plus uses a flat filter basket, as does the Bonavita BV1900. The Technivorm's basket is also conical, so there's kind of no consensus on which one is the right one. Some people say flat filter baskets are better for more even extraction. Other people would argue the opposite. So it's kind of up to you. I think the coffee is great on this home coffee maker. Very comparable to the Brazen Plus and BB1900. I will do a head-to-head test later on. Another neutral feature, as far as I'm concerned, is this filter clip. So this is to keep the filter in place in the basket, which I find is kind of not really necessary. It also has some little guidelines for 2 cups of coffee, 4 cups, 6 cups, and 8 cups. So you can just dump in your ground coffee and eyeball how much you actually need. One pro that I forgot to mention also is that you can select the number of cups of coffee you want to make. So if you have 8 cups worth of water in your reservoir and select 4 cups, it will only dispense 4 cups worth of water. So that's really cool. All the other SCAA certified coffee makers simply brew what's in the reservoir, so you can't select your cup size. So that's a major benefit of this. Okay, let's talk about cons. For one, only comes with this glass carafe. While it does pour really well with no dribbles, these are fragile. And also with this heating plate here that can't be turned off, mind you, or adjusted, I think it can sour or even bitter your coffee by overheating it after it's been brewed. So you'll want to drink that right away. I don't like that you can't turn it off. So definitely a con. As far as swapping out this carafe goes, you could get something that fits under here, but the problem is it won't work with this pause and serve. So basically, unless it's touching perfectly, the coffee won't dispense and it will just steep forever. So you basically are stuck with this carafe. So that's definitely a downside as far as I'm concerned. A little bit too much plastic construction too. I'd like to see a little bit more aluminum, or sorry, not aluminum, stainless steel. So the brew basket here is stainless steel, which is good, but everything that's dark gray is plastic. It's not a huge downside, but I would have liked to see a little bit more stainless steel. Another downside is this water level indicator. It's really hard to see how much water is in there because it's a little bit tinted. I don't know why they designed it this way, but you can see, or maybe you can't, that there's barely 4 cups of water in the reservoir. This is another thing I don't like. This is the reservoir opening itself. The water goes in here and then it closes up like that. You can see I've got some residual water that I spilled because there's very little room for error if you mispour. So it's a really good middle ground for the person who is kind of stuck between the BV 1900 and the Brazen Plus, which I keep referring to. The BV 1900 is a little bit simpler because it basically just has an on switch. You can customize whether there's a bloom or not, but I think that's kind of pointless because there should be a pre-infusion bloom regardless. So that's when the coffee is just pre-wet and it steeps for about 30 seconds to a minute. This coffee maker has that feature, as does the Brazen Plus, and then it's customizable being on or off for the BV 1900. So this has a middle ground because you can select the temperature via medium roast or dark roast. So it's got 2 temperature settings, whereas the Brazen Plus has a whole lot of them. BV 1900 doesn't have any temperature settings. So that's what I mean by middle ground. It's got some customizability and it's also still simple. So it's kind of like the perfect middle ground between those 2 coffee makers. In terms of price, same thing's true. Actually, I think this is around, last I checked, very comparable to the price of the Bonavita BV 1900. It does, however, only come in this size, so you might only need to make 5 cups of coffee at most, and that would be a situation where you'd probably want to go with the BV or the Bonavita. I think it's called 1500 TD for the 5-cup version, which is also SCAA certified. So if you have some space, you want to be able to choose between red, black, and silver. and maybe you want a little bit of customizability, but something that's still easy to use, easy to clean, then I think this is a great option. If you want a little bit more or a little bit less, you may want to consider the other two SCAA certified coffee makers, but I think that this is a good one. Definitely a big step up from your Mr. Coffee makers and Cuisinarts. It's very similar, so I'd say it's nostalgic to those coffee makers because it has this warming plate, the programmability, stuff like that. But again, it's SCAA certified, so it's like you're basically getting an upgraded, optimal coffee maker that will make the best possible coffee it can make for the SCAA standards. You're going to pay a little bit more, but if you're into better coffee, totally worth it. So thanks for watching this review, and please subscribe, comment, share, like, the whole lot.